Well, hello, YouTube. How's it going? Hope y'all are doing well. Happy Halloween, everybody, and go Houston, go Astros. Mm. Yo, we are enjoying the most perfect weather right now in Houston. It's absolutely gorgeous. It's nice and comfortable. It's a beautiful sun, so it's not too cold. It's not hot at all. We get a nice, actually cool breeze right now. Honestly, we are in line for the most pleasant Halloween that we have ever had in the city of Houston, and I could not be happier. Mm. Enjoying some Sleepy Hollow. Let's pretend like it's because it's Halloween and it's not what I've been smoking all year long. Portland, how's it going, brother? Excellent. I think in most of the videos, I know I've been not smoking my pipe in a lot of the videos lately, just because I've had to cut back because of some dental stuff, which isn't out of the woods yet, but it's Halloween, y'all. I had to get in there, get it ready. All right, hey, good, that's good, man. Staying healthy, that's what you want to do. But this pipe right here is absolutely. This was a gift from Mark VV, and this has become my favorite pipe. This has been my go-to pipe. There's just such a good-looking pipe. Hello from Spain. Hola, I should say. But I love this thing right here. I mean, it's just absolutely, it's beautiful. It's one of these pipes that it has such a style flair that I'm so glad it was gifted to me because I don't know that it's one that I would have admired it from afar, but I probably wouldn't have picked it up myself. And yet, this is become my new favorite pipe. That's right. You ever had that? Like you ever had that where you pick up you get a pipe, maybe it's a gift, maybe it's when you purchase, maybe it's one that's been in your collection for a long time, and it was just a pipe, a good pipe, but you smoke something so regular, like, oh, huh, I guess this is my favorite. Like regardless of what you thought was your favorite, you realize, well, this is the one that I constantly pull towards. So instead of like that intention, there's the intentional, oh, I decide this is my favorite, but then there's the unintentional of like this is just what happened. You know what I mean? Mm. Paul busting out the Choctaw. Nice. Y'all, not only am I enjoying this Sleepy Hollow, but I am also pairing that in a Squire Select fashion with a cocktail, which is the Great Pumpkin. This is a cocktail that is about to be featured. I hope I don't get in trouble for this. This might be a spoiler, but it's about to be featured on this week's episode of um, not Country Squire Radio, but this week's episode of Old Fashioned Finance, which is a great finance project podcast. I've been producing for them. Mm. Country Squire Radio listeners, um, financial gurus, pipe tobacco lovers, and cocktail enthusiasts as well. Definitely check their podcast out. It's called Old Fashioned Finance. But anyway, they've got an episode this week, and the cocktail they are drinking was the Great Pumpkin. I was listening to the episode because any work we do, for the most part, like 90% of the work we do, I tend to run QA for it. And so I'll listen to the episode prior to sending it off to the client. And I was listening to their episode and I was like, man, that cocktail sounds pretty good. It's rye, it's pumpkin ale, or in this case, pumpkin lager, brandy, ideally apple brandy, but we didn't have any apple brandy, maple syrup, egg and or egg white, and or you can, if you don't want to do the egg, you don't have to. We did egg white, and then you garnish with some nutmeg. Oh, and maple syrup. Did I say maple syrup? It's got maple syrup in it as well. It's very tasty. It's very much like a good Halloween drink. Good harvesty drink, but very much a good Halloween drink. So if you ever want to check it out, it's the Great Pumpkin. It looks, got the nice little. Oh, it's tasty. It's sweet. It's kind of like I would say like a cinnamony gingerbread, and it pairs very nicely with some Sleepy Hollow. I might actually have to message those guys and let them know, like, hey, if y'all bust some of those out tonight, you need to be smoking Sleepy Hollow with it. I'm gonna relight. Let me angle here real quick. So right now, my wife is getting the kids their hair all done for their costumes. My hair is just going to be like this for my costume. The beauty is my costume is all about the forehead, and because I am dressed up as Aang, or at least an adult version of Aang from Avatar: The Last Airbender, which is a favorite television show, probably the favorite television show of my oldest. She got me into it. I started watching it with her. It was a great little bonding thing that we do together. And this year she said we all got to dress like Avatar characters. So I'm going as Aang, and she's going as Korra from the sequel series. And it's been fun. We did a little costume practice, where we try on, make sure all the costumes fit and everything a couple days ago, and we took some pictures and all that kind of good stuff. But anyway, I have to paint a blue arrow, a giant blue arrow, on my forehead. But before I do that, I wanted to step out and hang out with y'all a little bit, wish y'all a happy Halloween, and also kind of get something off my mind that I've been thinking about. And I'm going to include this, I think, on some of the episodes of Country Squire Radio. The way that we've got things now is, well, anyway, the point is, let me just kind of jump to my thought. The problem with doing things live is, they're just off the cuff. But one of the things from the earliest days of Country Squire Radio, and when I mean the earliest days, y'all, I'm talking about year one, first couple, maybe even first couple of weeks of Country Squire Radio. At that time, I think, goodness. So I think the Lord of the Rings trilogy had just kind of completed, and they had yet to announce the Hobbit trilogy, or maybe it was like they were kind of starting to like be rumblings that there was going to be a Hobbit trilogy. And I remember talking to John David about the era, and I don't think we probably referenced this on the podcast, I'm sure, but like we would have conversations about the era that we were in with kind of the rise of Peter Jackson films and how that kind of pushed Tolkien into the cultural lexicon, but not just Tolkien in the cultural lexicon, but also the pipe as a symbol and as kind of an art form for like an entire new generation. And just the importance of how like pipe and pipe smoking as a representation of a community, it like just the power that that has, just kind of the symbolic nature of it, and also the way in which that kind of the narrative of the pipe smoker kind of gets told and shared on. And that's honestly, it's from those conversations that spawned our entire pop pipes and pop culture series that then kind of evolved, became the pipe culture series. Like literally, that's the evolution of that series, which I really hadn't sat down and thought about until just this very moment. But that's what it was. It was kind of like, okay, when Peter Jackson is no longer telling these movies or telling you putting out Tolkien stories on film and to kind of a broader audience, who is telling the story of the pipe? Like, where is the narrative of the pipe smoker, the symbolism of the pipe smoker? Where is that coming from? Where does that stem from? You know, and it's a good question because, like, if you think about it, modern day pop culture, you don't see the pipe all that often. Even when they remade Sherlock Holmes in the series Sherlock, which for the BBC, which was, I mean, I'm not gonna lie, those first, I want to say two, maybe three seasons. I think the first two seasons in particular were phenomenal. It's great television. But I mean, they decided to give him a nicotine patch as opposed to make him a pipe smoker. And I get what they were doing with that, with that take on Sherlock. But it spoke, I think, even further to the idea that the narrative, the symbolism of the modern pipe smoker, or just even just like the pipe smoking in pop culture, like was kind of wisping away into the air, you know? I love that too, Portland. Portland Paul is making the comment that they did, of course, give him the pipe in the Christmas special, which was great. That was very good. But, and I mean, again, I don't think, I'm not one who thinks that just because the Sherlock doesn't have to smoke a pipe to be cool. Don't get me wrong. And that might be blasphemy to some, but I also grew up on Sherlock Holmes in the 22nd century, or the 27th century, was it? And the idea was that they revived Sherlock Holmes in the future, and like he was rolling around this like cyberpunk, esque future of like new London or something of that nature, and so like that was, I think that may have actually even been my first introduction to Sherlock Holmes. So my first introduction to the character, he wasn't even smoking a pipe. But then as I got to know more, got to see the symbolism of him, obviously it's synonymous. And so anyway, my point is though that if we want quality representation of pipe smoking in media, we have to recognize as pipe smokers that we're the ones that create that content. We're the ones that tell those stories. And we can't rely on somebody who's not a pipe smoker to present a pipe smoker in anything other than kind of more of a, throwback kind of way. And there's nothing wrong with the throwback kind of way. It's an iconic symbol for a reason. And so this is why, and a lot of y'all have been very supportive. Obviously, I've been working on this project, The Pirate's Daughter, which you can learn more at findeversale.com. But one of the things about that series is it centers around the relationship between, I mean, the name gives it away, right? Like between a daughter and her father. And I got to tell you, I've been working on some of the audio and I've been trying to get some clips out. I really want to get some clips out as early as tomorrow, just to kind of like let people hear like what it is we're working on and what it is with at the moment the limited budget that we have. But it centers around these two characters of Captain Blackstone and his daughter Stella. And Blackstone is a pipe smoker. He's a pretty big pipe smoker. His cellar would dwarf most of ours. But and the way the actor we've got telling like performing that character is phenomenal, absolutely phenomenal. He's doing a great job with it. His performance is subtle, it's so good, and I'm very proud of the work that we've been able to do so far. But here's the thing, this is the thing. Um, we have in this character a prominent, proud pipe smoking pirate, right? Which is woven into the story. It's not the core of the story. It shouldn't be because you don't want your story to be any, too much. Like you want the symbolism to help carry the story, not the story to be the vehicle for the symbolism. But the reality is, if we don't support projects like this, they're not going to get done. And so, admittedly, like I am so happy and so thrilled that a few of y'all have been really good to support this project. I've been a little disappointed, honestly, at the lackluster show out from the Country Squire Radio audience for the initial kind of push for this show. And I get it. I mean, like if it's not your thing, it's not your thing. But it is one of those situations where if we as a pipe community don't support projects that represent pipe smokers, we will be that smoke kind of fading into the wind. Like that symbolism will be out there. Like that symbolism will fade and kind of be like a just like a trope almost. You know what I mean? And I obviously have to be careful about my wording here, right? Um because I'm not trying to say that this project is about present like specifically trying to like present pipe smoking to new pipe smokers. It's really more about making sure that that representation of pipe smokers is done well. You follow me? That's what I'm after. And so anyway, but my point is that we as a community have to be cognizant of that reality. And some of the times I get frustrated with us as a community. This is a little bit maybe I might need to be careful here, but I'll just be real with y'all. Why not? It's Halloween. I get frustrated with us as a community. Sometimes, some folks in the community, some contingency of the community, they gripe about everything that's going wrong. Oh, this, that, that's otherwise. But then there's so many of us that are out here enjoying the stuff, like the artisan stuff that's being created, be it the artisan pipes, be it the artisan pipe tobaccos, whatever it is. It may not have been what it was like yesterday in the industry, but like what we have now for like a lot of us is really good and we're really excited about it. And the same thing is true in the media as well. If we're going to create, like if we're going to have really good representation, really good content, we as a community have to support it. So I've been trying to figure out exactly how to communicate that appropriately on Country Squire Radio. I haven't quite found the wording yet, and I thought, well, you know what? Let me bust up on here. Let me pack my pipe with a little Sleepy Hollow. Let me enjoy this great pumpkin, and let me kind of think out loud a little bit. But that's been on my mind. So, look, if my story is not one that interests you, fine. But if you're a creative, you have to get out there and you've got to be making some really good content, be it, art or whatever and everything else. And, if you're able to support the project, great. And I get it. Look, a lot of people got a lot going on. I don't get me wrong. I'm not trying to like guilt anybody into supporting it. I'm just saying in general, it's one of those situations that either we support content or we don't. And that's the reality. A lot of y'all obviously are patrons. Y'all are supporting the creation of Country Squire Radio, and I thank y'all so much for that. Y'all are already doing that exact thing. But we got to be cognizant about about not just getting in our in groups, but also creating something and creating kind of a narrative and a representation for the world. Anyway, that's my thoughts. I just wanted to kind of put it out there. It's been on my mind. Man, Portland, you have nothing to be. you, you do not need to be sorry at all. By the way, Portland, you've been on my mind a lot. Because when we were in Vegas, John Dave and I were talking about where the next trip is going to be to, where our next kind of recording retreat is going to be to, and I was like, we got to go to Portland. I was like, we got. Like, I feel like we owe it to Paul. Like we've got to go to Portland. So that's top tier on my list. And this is kind of a funny story from kind of behind the scenes from this series that we're just getting into that hopefully y'all enjoy on Country Square Radio. John Dave and I, we went out after recording and after going to the pipe show and everything else. We were going out. We had a great time. Someone, and who will remain nameless. Oh, I want to say the name. I want to do that thing where I say remain nameless, but then I say their name. But y'all all know this person's name, so I'm not gonna say their name. Anyway, they referred to me as high strung, and I'm like, what? And it kind of ticked me off, to be a little bit honest with you, because I'm like, I don't really know you like that. It's like, I get that you hear me on the radio, but I get it. And I told John David afterwards when we got done recording, I was like, look, I'm high strung when it's time to work, but when it's time to relax, let's go relax. So we were going out and we were having some fun, and we were sitting back, we were having drinks, we were at this cigar bar, and unfortunately I couldn't smoke the entire time. A bummer. But he was enjoying some fine cigars, and I purchased some to pick up in Thanksgiving when I'm in town for Thanksgiving. But anyway, I was saying, like, man, what do you want to do? Like, the next recording retreat, it's gonna be around your birthday. Like, what do you want? Like, anywhere, we can go anywhere. What do you want? And he said, Bo? Well, I can't do a John David voice, so I'm not gonna try. He said, like, what I want is to not have to think about it right now. I was like, fair enough. I don't want to think about it either, but I want to make a decision and make it happen. And so I told him, I was like, oh, fair enough, but we got to decide by Halloween. So I actually need to like bug him and send him some text messages and let him know we got to make a call. And it's right about time because I see my kids are getting their hair finished up and I'm about to have to start with all the face paint and everything else. Y'all, I hope y'all are having just a wonderful Halloween. Thank y'all so much for hanging out with me. I may actually jump back on here later on tonight. The great thing about Halloween is we're up late. We do a fire in the front yard. My wife and I got the whole front yard set up to do trick-or-treating and everything with the kids and everything else. So we're really excited for that. I'm looking forward to, passing out candy. This year, actually, me and my wife are we're swapping it up. So she is actually going to be manning the trick-or-treat, like the passing out candy. And I'm actually going to be taking the kids trick-or-treating, which I haven't got to do in the entirety of their lives. Now that I think about it, because typically I man the house, so I'm kind of excited to go out and do the trick or treating with the kids. Also, our neighborhood in particular really goes all out. My brother was in town just yesterday, and so we were driving him and his wife around town, showing them all the decorations, and it's pretty legit. So I'm looking forward to seeing some of the decorations and seeing what's out there. But anyway, so if y'all happen to be on later on tonight after you get all your trick or treating done and whatnot with your kids, pack up your pipe, and hopefully I'll be on here again. Again, that one will be more casual. This one was really more just like I had this thought on my mind, and again, part of it, I don't know, maybe I'll get into it later on tonight, because it really has been on my mind a lot, and it's a tension, because there's this obviously personal desire of this goal I have to tell this story, but there is a broader responsibility I think we have as a community in terms of making sure that we're creating content and supporting content that is representing us well. Anyway, more on that later, but hope y'all are doing well. Thank y'all so much. Let's see, I see Adam. Oh, now they're running Kingsfoil from the Country Squad. Absolutely. Absolutely. From CT. CT. Is that, where's CT? Is that Connecticut? I actually don't know where CT is. But yeah, all right, guys. That's going to do it for me. Talk to y'all later. Have a good night. Boo. Happy Halloween.